right, guys, we're back. Took just a second. We're getting all those guys set up on their end.
I did that.
So,
Kind of.
these are the ARK devs. You can see we got Jesse, Damien, Waylon. I think Jake is in here or might be around, and then Forrest.
Are we ready when you are?
Who you see in front of you there. I'm ready to rock, guys.
Let's go then. We'll do the little intro. Go ahead, Forest Fire.
Hi, I'm Forrest. I'm Jesse's wife, and I am my new title.
Archvangelist.
I'm the Archvangelist, apparently. So today we have Damien Bull, our lead level designer, and Waylon Wynn, our lead environment artist, here with all of us together so we can discuss the new biomes that we've added and a lot of the new assets that we brought in.
Yep, and if you haven't met me before, I'm Jesse Rapsack, co-creative director for ARK as well. So I think, Slip, we're happy to be here with you too, and taking questions from you and from all the fans. We're super excited about the new content that we just put out, and what you're seeing now is a culmination of months of work in terms of the content team. While we've been doing all these updates that you've been seeing in terms of creatures and new items and stuff like that, part of the team's been working away at these new biomes, and that's these guys here, their responsibility for making that stuff look good and really being setting the bar, I think, especially in the survival genre, but just in this type of sandbox game, all up, to something that's fun and interesting to play in. And we've been super excited to see the community's reaction, and there's more where this came from, so this is just the start. But feel free to ask any questions along those lines and what's coming, and we'll answer what we can, and see where it goes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys very much for joining me, or inviting me and joining me.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure so far to play your game, I can tell you. It's been the best alpha I've ever seen. So definitely really enjoying
That's
it.
a huge compliment.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for an alpha type thing, I mean, it really just feels like really polished, and it's been really fun to play. So, couple of questions I guess we'll start off with. I think I went out on Twitter and asked some questions to my Twitter peeps, and I have a couple questions personally. And I think we're for people that are in the chat or that are watching on either one of the streams, we're gonna try to keep it to like less technical stuff, right? More broad.
Sounds good.
Is that for you guys? Yeah. So all right. Well, I guess the first question that I had was.
So if you have some, feel free to ask. Most of that team design and tech is working away right now, but we're here and we're artsy fartsy creative types, so.
Right on.
So don't get too techy.
Right on. All right. So if you shoot something with a, no, I'm just kidding. So you just updated the new biomes. That was the big new update that just came out. Really amazing job on it, to be honest. I was like, it was more than expected for me.
Thank you.
Just the level of detail I saw in the new biomes, and I don't know, it was just really surprising, like when you're seeing like snow falling from the edge of a cliff, or the wind blowing snow, or some of the map textures were redone, so you can see kind of where water's flowing down a mountain and it's kind of like shaping the terrain. So with those changes that have happened in the new biomes, and some of other places I think got a redress too, is that right?
A little bit.
A little bit?
We didn't do a whole lot of changes outside of the new biomes, but we did make some minor tweaks to some of the landscape that Waylon worked on. It kind of makes some of the textures look a little bit better in some areas. And also I think didn't we do something a while back with the way that the mountains are painted with different types of layers, so that it looks, instead of like one solid rock, it's got a little more erosion and stuff.
Yeah, that was added.
Yeah, we did a lot of work with that. We had the guys go back. Originally, we had a distance terrain in there just back from the beginning of the creation of the island, which doesn't support any of the clutter technology that we have, which is really what ends up making the stuff look really great, that and Waylon's terrain work. But we ended up having all that old distance terrain pulled out, and then we had somebody go back and manually hand paint like details in most of those areas. I'd like to say all of them, but to be safe, I'll say most of them just in case. But yeah, there was a lot of work that went into that for sure.
Well, right on. All right, so my question would be then, do you have any plans to go back to parts of the map that weren't updated now and kind of redress those and revamp them?
Well, I would say we have kind of a low priority task to make that stuff look better, but we still have more content to do like this. So we want to get that stuff out of the way. We still have a game to ship. We have all of our end game arenas, a couple more caves, and our final boss arena that we still have to do. And all of that's, you know, probably as much work as these biomes that we've already released. So we got to get that stuff done first. And then when we're on our road to our final ship date, that's when we'll probably go back in with these kind of lower priority polish tasks and kind of rework some stuff. I know Damien's told me multiple times he wants to go back in and rework the jungles and kind of bring them up to the quality bar of the new biomes and stuff like that. But hopefully we'll be able to make some time for that before we ship.
Yeah, one of the things that we try to do too is we go in and we create, like, say, the new biomes for an example, or anytime we have a pass on anything that we want to try to do, we always try to target the areas that have had the least amount of attention. So, I mean, just that alone with all the stuff that we have coming out for you guys, we'll end up going through a lot of those really untouched areas that haven't been looked at in a while, and they'll be getting reworked during that pass as well.
Right on. Okay, right on. And then just along that same...
Minimal to no terrain major adjustments for anybody that's worried.
Right on.
We're going to be avoiding most of that for the future.
So along that same lines then, with the redress, any new other biomes being planned out?
So I think we're done adding biomes for this part of the game, because the next thing that we're doing, like I mentioned, is going to take a lot of our time and kind of tie together all the backstory and the lore of ARK and really get that end game content in. And the island's, you know, not super big. It's pretty large for a lot of games, but for ARK, the islands would start feeling a little tight if we started adding in more biomes. And so you'll probably start to see new biomes down the road and expansions and stuff like that that continue the ARK story.
Okay, right on. And you kind of brought up a point that I'd like to touch on too. I got a couple people on Twitter that are asking me, what's this implant for? So as far as the lore goes, I guess, and it kind of sounds like you have plans to kind of expound on that in the future?
Oh yeah, lots of plans. You know, the big thing that we had to do before we got to the lore and the backstory is get these two biomes out. Because we always planned to have the snow and the swamp biomes there from the beginning. And we just weren't, we weren't far enough along when we started early access with those biomes to put them out at launch. And so this is the first big update that we have done to the island that really kind of brings all the island work together that we wanted to have for the main game. And then as we go into this end game content and start to add, by the way, doing the boss arenas and all that end game stuff I mentioned, we still have new stuff coming to the map itself. There's a lot of end game type gameplay and areas and assets that will be added to the island itself, but nothing like whole biomes and things of that nature. But those type of areas and the things that we're working on there will really help to start explain the implant, the obelisks, and all of the stuff that's going on.
All right, right on, cool. It's exciting.
We're very excited.
So you added in this last update furniture. So we got a chair, we got gravestone, and we got a bench.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Volunteer designer's dream.
When I saw it, I was excited about it. And again, on Twitter, I got a question about like more aesthetic stuff. Are we going to see more of that sort of smaller aesthetic pieces in the future too?
Yes, we will. What have you been seeing come across our plate so far, Waylon? I think we had some other items like lamps and other things.
Yeah, we have some lamps like trophies that are going to be released pretty soon.
Yeah, next up it's like lamps, trophies. You know, we've got more interior stuff we're planning, you know, probably new versions of things like beds. We want to give people more ways to decorate. You know, we might have things eventually like rugs and just decorative items. You know, those things are really kind of easy to create for us because there's not much gameplay involved with them. They're just kind of an object that you place. And so again, we just kind of have a backlog list of furniture items that it's like if any of the art team is not busy with something, they can pick up one of these assets and model a texture and get it ready to go into the build.
All right, right on, cool.
Right on, cool.
That would be exciting. What other questions do I have? I'm looking through my Twitter right now. Oh, there's a good one. That's actually kind of a two questions. So right now you can move dinos from one server to the other with towers. But what about water-based dinos?
Can you move them?
Well, right now I don't think you can. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no, there's not a very easy way to do that at the moment. So we're still trying to figure out how that system's going to work on the official servers and all of that stuff. It's something that we are really passionate about, allowing people the flexibility to move their dinos and inventory. But you know, we had that big sort of like exploit a few months back, and we kind of turned it off for now on the official servers, and so we're not actively developing that too much right now because you know we have so many other things to do. But I think we're going to come back to that later on, similar to the polish items on the landscape and all those other things we were talking about earlier. Some of those systems we'll be doing kind of a second pass on to see what they look like for the final build.
All right, right on.
So we actually have a couple of questions that your viewers might have as well that I've seen come across when I've been playing the game actually recently. We have a couple of questions about some holiday stuff that may or may not come in. People want more or less a flying reindeer with a red nose for Christmas.
How could you do that now? I think I saw a Bludolph recently.
Yeah, I want to craft snowmen too.
Oh man, snowman
I love
boss.
that you're asking.
We have a lot of fun holiday stuff planned. You know, you'll start to hear more about that soon. You know, Halloween's right around the corner. Then we've got, you know, some U.S. stuff like Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, of course, is pretty broad appeal. So we plan to do a lot of fun stuff around that. And, you know, we don't like to take ourselves too seriously when it comes to that sort of thing. So start looking forward to some announcements in the next few days, actually, possibly by the end of the week or early next week on our first sort of
Just say
holiday
2 weeks.
stuff.
Don't.
Well, it's all just down when we want to announce it. I'm not making a promise of when it's going to be in the game. If I was doing that, you might have
Hopefully
to,
for whatever
if I was
holiday
doing that,
it
you
is.
might have to take what I say and just double it.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's exciting. That'll be awesome. So my next question would be in the same vein there. Alpha? Anything alpha in the ocean plan?
Oh, alpha creatures for the ocean?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll see that. We still have a lot more creatures to add to the ocean, actually. That's probably the more interesting thing to talk about, is that we put so many creatures on land and in the sky so far that we've only got a few relative to that in the ocean. So you're going to see new ocean creatures that allow you to explore the depths and find new types of resources, like we announced our anglerfish, which generates light. You can get those resources and bring it back to your base to serve as a light source. We're going to have a lot of, I think we're announcing a new underwater creature today, actually, in our dossier, so look for that. So the next thing with underwater is getting much more variety of underwater creatures. And then when that's in there, we'll probably be doing some more stuff around, do we want to put in an alpha creature, and which ones are they going to be, and things of that nature. The underwater area still has a lot of potential that we haven't really tapped into yet. We probably wouldn't go in and do something like a whole map change in the order that we did for like the snow and the swamps biome, but since it's so open down there and there's still a lot of area to, you know, place things like resources and treat different depths differently in terms of what's there, you'll probably start to see some interesting environmental and ecosystem based things happening under the ocean between the new creatures that we're going to add and like where resources are placed and in what parts of the map. You know, from cold waters up north by the glaciers in the snow region back to the warmer waters of the south and stuff like that.
All right, cool. So just got another question, I think. What do we got here? I think Jake posted this actually. How close are flying bases?
Very close. That's all I will say on
Oh!
that.
It's a huge spoiler, guys. So very close.
You know, the mobile bases is just, they're so ridiculous, and we just like to have fun with them. And I think everybody likes to build like a mobile base platform of all sorts. And we don't want to leave out one of our modes of travel. And, you know, flying bases are kind of the next thing. So it might be a little ridiculous looking at first, but we want to get the functionality in there to make sure it all works, and then we'll see what goes on with that.
I can't wait to have fun with it. It's going to be crazy.
I'm thinking now in my head like paratrooper attacks, just everybody parachuting off of bases into other people's
It's gonna
bases,
be awesome.
dropping in like dinosaurs and tanks.
Everyone's gonna have solid squares like they do on my server.
Yes.
Because they all have sealed, completely sealed.
They're like, Box Guy's got it figured out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude, I'm thinking a flyer with like 30, 40 turrets on the back of it.
Oh yeah.
You just fly
And
to
we-
someone's base and land, and it's GG.
Yep. We're gonna have some new exciting stuff with more turrets and stuff too coming. So, you know, those things are super fun. We really liked. We had a lot of fun designing the turret and, you know, making it sort of work with its animations and things like that. And so we're like, well, we can't just have one of these things. And so we've got a few more planned that do different things and have different strengths and weaknesses coming. So.
All right, right on. Cool. And I think the last question, the only other question that I have is, well, I have a lot of questions, but so and I feel like this would probably be really far in the future. But any plans for a bigger map?
Well, sort of, in a way.
Cryptic.
Yes. You know, we have some ideas, especially for one of our expansions, to kind of make more of a open area where multiple people can all play the game. We've also, through survival of the fittest, discovered that we can actually, you know, on better server hardware, we can actually host up to 230 players, you know? And so with future server optimizations and some of the things we're learning from survival of the fittest, we think that, you know, there's some possibilities in the future to have bigger maps and more players in the server at once. It just comes down to, you know, where those plans fall in with our final server optimizations, so we get rid of all the things that, you know, are maybe negatively impacting gameplay sometimes. You know, like our game can be sensitive to things like ping times and, you know, server performance and things like that. And so we want to get all that stuff ironed out before we start talking about like bigger maps and more players in the main game. Survival of the fittest, it's a little bit of a different story because, you know, the match is a time limited thing, and things that can happen over time, like lots of structures being built and things being placed in the map and having to be calculated by the server, don't happen as much in survival of the fittest. So that's why we're able to confidently have so many more players in there. But I think as we optimize things, there's a chance that we can get the player count up on our official servers to something that's a good quality experience for everybody. You know, of course, people now rent servers that are beast servers and, like, you know, put up the number of players high on a bunch of unofficial servers. But I think that until the official servers start doing that, well, that's when the big change will come to the number of players on any server. And at that point, we might start having to consider how big is our map and do we need to expand it, maybe take advantage of some new innovations in the engine space, both on the Unreal side and our own side for our networking and our back-end stuff.
All right, cool. Thank you. And
We have some questions here in our chat as well.
All right, let's do it.
I know one of them was, are we going to be on the early access program for Xbox? You probably just want to.
That's kind of a softball.
Yeah.
And just remind people.
I know. I just figured for anybody who doesn't
We
know.
are going to be early access on Xbox Game Preview. Our engineering team's working really hard on that now. And, you know, we announced that it's going to be this winter. So we don't have a specific date yet of when that's going to happen. But we and Microsoft are very, very excited about ARK on Xbox. And we're going to try to make it the purest experience that we can right now based on our PC game. And when it does come out, it'll have all of the content on the PC up until, you know, maybe just a couple of weeks before we do the Xbox launch. And worst case, you know, 3 or 4 weeks before we do the Xbox launch. And we're going to try really hard to keep the content on the Xbox version of the game relatively fresh compared to the PC content. We won't be doing like daily updates and things like that like we do on PC, but you could definitely look forward to like a weekly or maybe every other week type of update to bring all the content over from the PC into the Xbox version.
Do you want to answer any more of these?
Sure, yeah, we got a bunch there.
Yeah, that's exciting news. It's cool.
I know about the flamethrower.
Yeah, I like that question too. Someone's asking us, are you guys going to be adding flamethrowers? Sounds like a great idea.
It's one of those things. It does sound like a great idea.
It's been talked about.
Yeah.
Use it on bugs.
You guys have any thoughts on flamethrowers?
Waylon just wants to kill all the bugs.
I'm a big fan, actually. I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, I think that flamethrowers are really fun weapons, and especially, if they're especially useful against things like bugs and annoying things like that. It's a really cool weapon idea. We probably won't ever support like fire burning things and catching things on fire. That's just like a lot of work. And
People have asked me that in
I know,
game.
a lot of
and I'm
people
like,
want things to catch on fire.
they would just burn down the whole server.
Yeah.
There'd just be nothing
Empty
left.
forest all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, where's all the resources? Well, you burned them.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be a kind of a balancing act of how we might implement something like that. So can't say for sure that it's coming, but we do think it's a cool weapon. So
I think this is a good question.
Yeah.
Any kind of wind or weather or ocean currents gonna be in the game, or weather events? Are you guys gonna add any more of those?
Well, we've been testing out a lot of weather events and different other types of events in survival of the fittest. And the
Yeah, mega fog.
yeah, some of them are hated, a lot of times those things right now don't have a lot of art applied. It's just like, design, putting something in for functionality. And so that's typically how things start when we're testing stuff. Like our alpha dinosaurs kind of have a placeholder particle on them, and I've heard makes them look like Cheetos, which, I don't Cheeto puffs. But, sometimes that's the fastest way to get something in if we're not sure that it's going to be something that we keep long term. But we do like the alpha dinos, so, we're going to go back in and polish that up. And when it comes to the weather effects, those ones that are in there now, and now with the snow, those are kind of our first pass at all those things, and you'll start to see more polish behind them as we get towards our release, a little more interactivity and a little more quality behind the effects that happen. And we are thinking about some things that we can do, underwater. We already kind of have top currents and stuff like that, and we always kind of had a goal to have actual waves in the ocean. That's something that we haven't really worked on since just before launch, when we had really nice looking 3D displacement waves, which we actually took out of the game at launch because it wasn't quite ready. Hopefully we can get back to that at some point. And we always have this goal to tie in the surface ocean and any wave activity to the storm. So if the storm kicks up, the waves can like increase in size a little bit. And it just makes it feel like everything's more, integrated. And so that's, again, one of those things, depends on time and effort and, can we get that in before launch? But those are the type of things we would like to do. And it just will be, probably third priority after all the other stuff we're working on. So.
All right.
What else we got?
Pressurized bases?
Which one?
The last one.
Oh, ocean
Yeah.
biomes like coral reefs, kelp forests, abyss. What do you think, Damien?
I'm all for it. I love it.
I think our oceans could use some love in that department. I don't know that we'll be able to get to it with this island, but I know that we have talked about some future things that would be really, really cool along those lines that I think you guys would be super into.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more I can say than that.
Yeah, I think we do have some really fun stuff planned for ocean biomes. It just might not show up in this map, depending on time, but it will show up at some point. What else we got?
I actually have another question for you guys.
Sure.
Any plans for diversification of the harvestable resources? So like
Oh yeah.
different types of wood, different types of metal, and a more complicated, not complicated, but advanced crafting structure?
I don't think we'll get too more complicated with the crafting structure itself, but we do plan to kind of make the resources a little bit more purposeful where they come from. So like, certain types of plants getting certain types of berries, for example. not just random, RNG.
So I don't have to just run around trying to find the invisible narco berries.
Exactly. So you can see some of that right now with the swamps where we've placed, sort of early stage spitter plants, the plant species X around the swamp, and that's kind of where you can go to get the seeds for that plant. That's kind of like a first test at that. But when you see things like, if we have an oil rock and you actually get oil from it, or you have a metal rock and you actually get metal from it, we want to do some of that with our plants and our trees as well, so that, perhaps something that's maybe visually larger or looks a certain way gives you a resource that kind of makes sense. The reason we haven't done it now is for balancing, and it's much easier to figure out what are the right types of resources to give when you don't have to really care what they're associated with visually. And so when we get to the polish stage, we may do some extra balancing to see what it feels like when certain types of plants are just getting certain types of berries in more of a, larger bias, right? So like maybe we have narco berries that are coming from, I don't know, small bushy plants that look like they have, black narco berries on them, and then, that makes visual sense, and it's not just some abstract feature. That way you can spot the plants as you're out there harvesting, and you can say, oh, I need those berries, or, I need a lot of wood, so I'm going to go over to this type of tree that usually gives me a lot of high quality wood or something like that.
All right, cool. Thank you.
We got some more
Yeah,
questions.
we got another interesting question about, so now there's snow, and they were mentioning there's a lot of deep snow drifts in the new biome. Will there be any snowshoes or sleds or anything like that to help you trudge through the deep snow?
Well, it's a good idea. What we don't have in there right now, our idea behind the deep snow, which isn't implemented yet, was for it to have kind of a gameplay purpose, which is to slow you down when you're in the deep snow. It doesn't do that right now, and also it doesn't really pay attention to things like campfires or sleeping bags, things that are very small, or people who are
But you can hide
going
it.
prone in the snow. We also don't have any of our, there's a lot of new
You can
visual
hide.
effects.
I'm always hiding.
Yeah. There's a lot of new visual effects in the snow biome, but one thing that we don't have is visual effects that tied to dinosaur, creature, and player feet and stuff like that. And so we have cool things like a different effect that plays when you're in the deep snow of like big chunks of snow coming up while you're walking. And when you're in the shallow snow, it's kind of more dusty snow like you see right now in the biome with the dusts of snow just kind of going across the landscape. And so our goal is to have some gameplay benefit with that. It's one of those things that's also just going to come down to engineering time and can we actually get that in. And I imagine if we get something in where it does slow you down, I don't know if we would add sleds or things like that, but we might make it so that, hey, you might want to be on, one of the new creatures or something to help you not get slowed down by deep snowdrift. So you can just kind of gallop through, with either a raptor if you've got it, or one of the new.
Should be one of the snow ones.
Yeah, one of the new creatures.
Direwolf.
Yeah, dire wolf or something can help you get through those deep snow drifts instead of kind of walking through. I mean, the snow biome is supposed to be really challenging and really like it's kind of the culmination of everything you've learned playing ARK. In order to survive there, you really have to be careful about your structures, the type of clothing you're wearing, the type of animals you're using to get around the biome. And so as we tweak and turn knobs and do all that stuff, you'll probably start to see a little bit more of that kind of getting layered on top of the stuff that we've already done in that area.
Yeah, it's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
What about that next one up there?
What? This?
Yeah.
So
Sounds pretty awesome.
they want to know if you guys are going to have any swords. Or lances.
Maybe.
Or...
Tasers.
We'll have some new melee combat items very soon.
You're like, please ask me that. Please ask me that.
I actually think we have the club going in today too, so
I was wondering.
all I have to say about that is a sword is not too different from a club. So,
I'm really excited to club somebody. I can't wait to club
It's pretty fun.
my server members.
we'll make sure it has a nice good thunk sound too.
Kinda gonna club you. Oh, another question, if I could interject again.
Yeah.
So building mechanics are like kind of you guys did add in how you can like flip a wall now. Are there plans to add any other tools for help with more advanced building?
In terms, well, give me an example of something you think's missing.
I do not know. I mean, I don't have any specific requests or anything like that, but
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We are seeing a lot of fun things happen with the mods. You know, there's like spiral staircases now, and you know, short staircases and things like that. And I think similar to the angled roofs, there's a lot of fun ideas out there. And we're as you see with the angled roof thing, we're totally open to integrating that stuff if it really improves the building experience. And so mostly what I can say about that is we really do listen to people's feedback, and if there's something that makes building like way better for people, or there's a certain mod or a certain type of thing that they're doing either in this game or other games that's really improves the quality of life for building in the game, we're all ears and, you know, open to those suggestions, because that's the whole point of early access, is to figure out what's missing and what we need to add to the game to make it a better experience.
all right, great, thank you.
We have a question up here. Where can I get an ARK t-shirt?
That's a good question.
That is a great question. We're working on that.
Forrest, would you like to talk about that?
We're going to be bringing out some merchandising fairly soon. I'm working on it. That's kind of my project. So that I'm heading up with Jake. So we'll be working with that and hopefully get it to you guys soon so you guys can get all your ARK gear and some other fun stuff.
Any fun plushie items in the works?
I mean, we definitely have to have Doga birds for sure.
Yeah.
I want like a whole. Well, I want like every color of Doga birds. I'm sure we'll have all sorts of.
You gotta
things.
collect them all.
Do you want to hint at the?
Anything
What about some things to manage stress, maybe?
Yeah, we may or may not have something that you can throw that resembles something in the game that people like throwing a lot.
I'm gonna force feed it to whales.
Force feeding it to people.
Oh,
Soon we will have some nice poop stress balls for everyone.
Yeah.
They come in three sizes.
I actually.
The largest size is a beanbag.
The beanbag size, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I actually totally afford that. That or
Okay,
a
make it
beach
happen
ball.
for us. I want a brontosaurus poop beanbag.
I know. It would be great for like the booths, especially. We can all hang out
Yeah,
in.
all the booths at like PAX.
Yes.
Here.
Come hang out.
It's like an animatronic mammoth that poops beanbags.
There you go. Brilliant booth design.
Brilliant. I think it'd be fun to get
That'd be amazing.
like beach ball ones so that we
Yeah.
can throw it still.
Inflatable poop.
Yeah. Of course. Let's see. There's a couple more questions we have. When are you gonna add more biomes? We kind of talked about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
we talked about that a little earlier. Not in this map, but in
There's
future
more to
maps.
come.
Yes.
They want to know if it's possible to dye weapon attachments.
I'm sure we'll probably add that at some point. I understand why people want to do that.
Yeah, you gotta be color coded.
Yeah, there's nothing preventing us from doing it really. It's just more work of setting it up for colorization and doing, you know, a bunch of numbers and things like that. So, what else?
Cool. People want to know if the wolf will get a saddle or any kind of armor.
Probably.
I noticed that one doesn't
yeah.
have a saddle when you ride it.
Well, we kind of did that on purpose.
Yeah,
we
it's
made
kinda
a saddle
cool.
for it, but then it
It's
just
cool.
seems so wrong to put a saddle on a dire wolf, and so we just made it rideable without the saddle. But then, of course, you don't get the armor. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. We do have some armor-themed plans in the future, not just for dire wolves, but just all dinosaurs, and so there might be some changes there to how that system works, and you know, it's not for sure, but if we do get some extra time and some things that we want to do come to fruition, you might see more configurable armor and the ability to kind of stylize your dinos and things like that. It's all things, you know, I think the community's requested and that we're really excited about too, and nothing specific to announce really on the on that front, but we are keeping our eye on that. It's kind of like something that we want to keep on our radar.
I love this question. This is kind of a very specific one for people
Oh,
who like
yeah,
to
I
build.
love that.
I love to build. So this person was wondering when we would get railings, like fence railings that are waist high.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I met another builder at PAX, and he figured out a way to do it in our official servers by stacking the fence foundations like
Oh.
6
Yeah.
high on top of each other and then destroying the ones below. And I was like, wow, he was dedicated to have some railings.
Dang.
But it would be cool to have some
Yeah.
railings.
That's pretty cool. I think we'll get to a point too where, like with furniture, there can be variations of building items that just add some flair, you know, like that, like different height railings and things of that nature. You know, it's a little bit more difficult to add building items because they have to snap to things and they all have to fit together. But if we do get to a point where we can kind of add not just decorative stuff, but different sizes of things, we'll continue to do more of that, just like we did with the angled roofs. And, you know, if half-height railings are highly requested, I'm sure at some point it's going to get in the game.
I know almost everybody on my server is doing that. We're stacking, you know, 20 high foundations in order to get, or 20 high fence foundations in order to get a railing.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it. I love building, so when you told me that, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I didn't even think of it. It's great.
Slippery ice.
Slippery ice.
Yes.
Well,
Can you do that?
it is great, yeah. That's one I can't answer. We'll have to check with the engineers on that one. That sounds like one of those things where the content team's like, hey, this would be awesome, and the engineers are like, yeah,
No.
right. Forget it. But we'll see. There's a lot of things like physics and fancy numbers involved. The ones and zeros. You know,
Not my thing.
Ones and zeros.
Not my thing. People always want to know about baby dinos and hatching eggs.
We're working on it. Yes.
What about GUI changes, like ability to maybe move the chat window or
Yeah. Well, before we launch, there'll be a whole UI pass. We're also working on some, you know, minimum viable UI changes to make sure that the console version is usable with the controller. Also, anyone who's playing big screen PC probably wants the controller to work a lot better with our UI. So we're definitely going to be making some UI tweaks in the lead up to Xbox game preview. And then next year, once we kind of have all of the game play mechanics finalized and the way everything works, and we're sure we're not going to be adding any more user interfaces for things that, you know, we forgot about and that we might need to change to. Once we have all that stuff figured out, then we're going to go back in and do our big UI pass on the game to make it both look better, play better, make sure there's like less clutter on things, and that it's like a more polished UI to kind of line up with the rest of the visuals in the game. You know, what we have in there right now is functional, and it's easy for us to change real quick if we want to, you know, put in a different item or number or, you know, box somewhere. It really helps us iterate more quickly on that stuff and not get caught up in like, how does it look, and, you know, is this in the right place and things like that. We just don't want to do that stuff more than once, and we just kind of want to do it all at the end.
So there's a couple ones about water stuff.
Oh yeah?
I know we're gonna have more water things
Sure.
coming, but people wanted to know, do we have any way of integrating the underwater bases?
Right.
And also, of course, is there going to be a dino that we can surf on?
Man, 'cause that's not silly at all.
Not at all.
I'm all for surfing on dinosaurs.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what dinosaur would be good to surf on.
Yeah.
Crucio.
Yeah, maybe the manta, you know, just like get out there and surf.
Actually, you could do that. You could stand and hold straps, right?
Yeah, it'd be more like wakeboarding or something. Right?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
And then underwater bases, we do have some plans for that. It'll probably be a high-level tech tier. I mean, we had scuba, of course, scuba equipment, and that's kind of when we add all these new creatures to the oceans and want to entice players to move underwater, because think about, you know, we have a finite map size and so much of the map is underwater. Well, a lot of people could be hanging out underwater too, and that would kind of probably clear up some of the clutter in terms of, you know, the server bases and
And it would just be
population.
cool.
Of course, it'd be cool,
Yeah.
yeah. course, if we ever release that, then at some point everybody's gonna want to live underwater.
Totally.
It's gonna be like the lost city of Atlantis. And, like nobody's gonna be on that.
All
ocean
these
or up
abandoned
top.
houses up on the ground. New people come into the servers and be like, wait, how are there 70 people on the server right now?
There was a good
Where is
question
it?
about modern tech.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Taking away from taming dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I see that one. With more modern tech in the concept stage, will it take away from taming dinosaurs? I don't think so, because one of the main goals of the game is to reinforce the use of dinosaurs and the taming of those dinosaurs. So we will always try to keep a balance between the dinosaurs and the technology in the game, so that the dinosaurs are never made like less useful or anything like that. You know, we're not going to come in and do something like put in, you know, a Jeep or some sort of vehicle in the official game, you know, because dinosaurs are the vehicles, you know. There's not really any reason to do some of these more, like, offensive weapons and things like that that would totally circumvent what a dinosaur could do. It's more like complementing it, you know. That's why we have these turrets that we're putting on the dinosaur. They're not much use by themselves because they can't move. And so in order to make use of that turret and its more offensive power, you actually have to put it on a platform. Or to use it for defense, you have to build a base to put the turret there. And so I think dinosaurs will always, and other creatures in the game, will always complement and maybe even improve all of the abilities and the items that we create in other areas. And that's kind of our goal, is to always make it more rich, not make things obsolete.
Cool.
I think we got about 5 minutes left, maybe a little less. We got a couple more. You have any more questions on your side?
Yeah, I got one, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you have any plans to do any sort of like voxel terrain work where you can actually dig down underneath the ground or do those sorts of things?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
That one's easy. It's just too time consuming. That
Yeah.
would mean we don't do a bunch of other stuff.
It's also like a domino effect of nightmare scenarios.
Domino effect of nightmare scenarios.
Nightmare fuel.
That means we can't hide anything under the terrain either.
What are you hiding down there?
There's stuff under there.
Bodies, stuff.
Aren't there bodies in the snow?
There are bodies in the snow, yes.
True.
Creepy.
Secret bodies.
Bodies.
Have people found the frozen bodies? I think so.
I think so. I watched some guys like for hours get ready to go to the snow. It was hilarious. They had so many problems, but it was they ran by some,
They're all placed in super high traffic areas, so
so everyone will see
yeah,
them.
you'll see them. They're pretty much screaming at you, like, "Hey, dead guy over here, check me out."
Somebody asked, I think I understand their question. They want to know if there will be anything with across metal wood structures along with glass ones, like a mixture.
Oh, I see. To mix metal and wood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know. Have to look at that one more closely.
I
Have
would
you
love
seen it?
glass. No, I just would love glass.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
glass
wanna-
is cool. It's just really hard.
I know. I feel like it's really hard. It's one of those things where I think it would be really cool, but making it work.
In game technology, glass is always really difficult. Every time we do something glass, it's like 2 or 3 times as hard as anything else.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, they want to know, will they be able to have an electric fence like they had in Jurassic Park?
That's a good
Yes.
idea.
This is a good idea.
Yeah. But to keep your dinos from wandering too far.
No, to put around somebody that logs out.
There you go. There you go. Maybe. We have electricity. We have fences. How hard can it be?
Sounds possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
do you have any more questions, or
I
we
think
can wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm good. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to come on. This has been awesome. We got a lot of great info.
Cool. Thanks for hosting as well.
Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
We'll probably start to do more of this, you know, now that we got our streaming set up here at the office. And,
Yeah.
you know, we've been doing some of our Survival of the Fittest championship streams from here as well. You know, we had Fairlight in here with Cade a couple weeks ago doing the last tournament finals, and it's been pretty fun. And I think it's good to interact with the community more directly like this, so that people can put faces to us and, you know that we're not just like all these weirdos sitting in a dark
Living
office.
in a
Never stopping
They were
working
saying
and
we
never
used
getting
to live in a
sleep.
basement, in our mom's basement or something. We have an office.
Yeah. I don't work out of my mom's basement. Okay.
Not anymore. No.
I don't think that would have been good.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the new stuff. Even the new stuff that's coming out today, tomorrow, and Friday.
Yes.
It never ends. Never. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
All right, guys. So I'm going to take just a moment and talk to these guys on all BRBs. Thanks so much. Stay tuned for more ARK stream stuff and things.